With the release of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Chapter 12, the truth regarding the Shinshu is slowly starting to be released. Their main abilities, methods of devouring, and their goals and intentions. All these crucial pieces of information are slowly starting to be revealed. So in this video, we will be breaking down everything we know so far about the Shinshu. And the first thing I want to do is discuss the collective abilities that seem to be shared amongst all of the Shinshu and the goal that they all aspire to attain at the current moment. So when it comes to specific abilities, the first thing that we have to talk about, and something that we learned about in chapter 12, but has been hinted in various chapters, especially through the fight of Hiari, is their healing ability. We know that they are not ordinary humans, they come from the divine tree, due to Code mixing his chakra with the Ten-Tails. We already know about that. However, an extra ability that we learn due to them coming from the divine tree and the Ten-Tails is that they have extra healing power. Whenever they use the claw marks, they can go back to that location that seems to be theirs. I don't know exactly where it is or which dimension it comes from, but they are able to go back to the God Tree and the God Tree will heal them. Just like the God Tree could regenerate itself, it seems like the God Tree allows the Shinshu, or who take damage, to go back to it and be healed. Hiari has done so chapter after chapter, one after being hit by Sarada's ability, and we also see this in this chapter. After Boruto uses the Rasengan, Hiari goes back to that dimension and is healed by the God Tree. This is an ability that the other Shinshu should have access to, because if they take damage, they should also be healed by the God Tree. The only one we've seen do this is Hiari, and that's because of the fact that Jura didn't take any damage, and we don't see Bug or Matsuri in this fight, and the only person that did take damage in this fight is Hiari, so it makes sense that he is the only one who have been shown to use the God Tree as a healing mechanism, because he is the only one who took damage. The Shinshu also have access to all of Code's claw marks and have now taken over the claw grinds. We see that they're still able to control them. Jura has controlled the claw grinds in multiple ways, which he used to come to the outskirts of the village and thus walk into the village like nothing happened. And we also see in this chapter that Hiari also has the reins to the claw grinds, as he is able to make them spawn from all of his claw marks to make it harder for Sarada or Boruto to know exactly from where he was coming through. The claw grinds serve as a great distraction, and we can already see from the chapters that have been released that the Shinshu, especially Hiari, use the claw marks at a more effective way, and the claw grinds too, than Code. Code is useless, and we'll see when he comes back, but Hiari has already proven that he uses the claw grinds in a better fashion. Now, we also have some more minor abilities that a lot of people don't really talk about, and that's the Shinshu's ability to see fate. We have a Jura, who in chapter 4 talks about Boruto's destiny, and we have a Matsuri, who in that same chapter talks about Code's fate, how Code is fated to be used by everybody around him, and Jura talks about how Boruto has a destiny that is fast approaching that he cannot escape from no matter where he goes. This may not be an ability that is cool to a lot of people, but I think it is quite interesting that already in the first chapter that we see them appear, they are talking about other people's fates and destiny, and somehow, just like the Otsutsukis, they are able to perceive it, just like Ishiki and Momoshiki have shown to us multiple times in the past. They also have crazy sensory abilities. We have Ajira, who was able to sense Himawari and the chakra that was inside her. Only Damien was able to do that in the past, and Damien couldn't even pinpoint what exactly it was about Himawari that caused him to have such a reaction, but Jura knew exactly what it is. They are similar due to them being both one with a tail beast. We have the Bug Shinu Clone that displays something also quite similar, who was able to notice that Ida was listening to their conversation, and he literally went to where Ida was and directly told her that she was going to be his target. This already demonstrates that to a certain extent their sensory ability is quite high and higher than anything we have seen in the past. They also have the Renegon, so they should all have the basic abilities that come with the Renegon. We see Hiari in this chapter take the Torn Soul just using some sort of gravitational energy, and since we know that they have Almighty Pull and Almighty Push due to them having the Renegon, it makes a lot of sense why Jura was able to do that. To be completely honest, we don't really see them use a lot of the Rinnegan abilities, but that's probably due to the fact of the level of strength that we see in these various characters. Nowadays, the Rinnegan isn't as useful and isn't as godly as it appeared in Naruto Shippuden. And as we all know, the most important thing that we come to find out in this chapter, the Torn Souls. This is the new lore that we come to find out in chapter 12, and it seems to be connected to both the Shinshu and the person that the Shinshu is derived from. The Torn Soul seems to be the essence of the Shinshu and what allows them to have these various abilities that come from the person who has been turned into a tree. We will be breaking this down even further in future videos, but that's what we know that is confirmed about the Shinshu. These abilities are what is shared by all of the Shinshu, and they have access and they have shown these various abilities multiple times throughout the series so far. But now let's discuss the individual abilities that each of the Shinshu have and discuss exactly what makes them different and stand out in this group. The first person that we have to talk about is Jura. Jura, he comes from the Tail Beast. A lot of people believe that he comes from Jigen, Ishiki, and various other theories, like even Gaara, to my surprise. However, we end up figuring out through the conversation that Jura and Himawari have in their battles, and when we figure out that Himawari is actually Jura's target and not Naruto Uzumaki, we have a Jura who says to Himawari that they are alike. Now, if you go back and come to figure out who Himawari is at the current moment, while Himawari is literally one with the Nine Tails, the incarnation of the Nine Tails, this helps us pinpoint exactly what Jura is. So I don't know why there are still theories being made of exactly who Jura is, but it seems to me at least that it is already confirmed that Jura stemmed from the Ten Tails itself. Now, when it comes to his abilities, it is quite interesting, as especially with what we see in this chapter, I think I have a good idea of what Jura's abilities truly are. Jura, like a Tail Beast, utilizes various Tail Beast bomb, but he has changed it in ways that are quite unique, and I've never really seen this happen before. We have his regular Tail Beast bomb that he used in the village and caused Team 10 to end up leaving the village due to the destruction that Jura could cause. We have the Tail Beast shotgun that Jura used against Himawari. At first, we wondered what ability Jura was using at the time, but when you now look back, especially after what we see in this chapter, you would realize that what Jura used on Himawari in chapter 12, when he was talking about her healing powers, that you would realize that the Tail Beast bomb he used was quite reminiscent of a shotgun. And in this chapter, we also see that Jura has a Tail Beast bomb ability that resembles that of sniping, or a sniper-like Tail Beast bomb that he uses to hit Boruto at a range that is so far that we don't even see the village from where Jura is at. And he also does that to hit Sarada. So it seems like Jura can use his powers to change his Tail Beast bomb in a manner that resembles various different guns and machinery that we have seen in the past. Especially in our current world, we can see how reminiscing the way Jura uses his abilities are to various sorts of weaponry that we have access to. Jura also has various sorts of wood style. He uses wood style and transforms it in any manner that he sees fit. We saw versus Inogen and the various Konoha police force that he is able to transform his wood style into some spikes that can end up impaling and killing his opponent. He did that versus Inogen, but Himawari saved him. And we see that Jura can fly. This method of flying is more reminiscent of people who have become the Jinchuriki of the Ten Tails, or people who are Otsutsukis like Boruto and Kawaki. This also comes to prove that Jura really comes from the Ten Tails, as Obito and Madara started flying after becoming the Jinchurikis of the Ten Tails. His method of devouring people is by turning them into trees, making them some sort of a tree, and then sucking the nutrients out of them. I don't know if they permanently stay in a tree-like form, like we see various characters like Sasuke, Moegi, and Bug, but that's what it seems at the current moment that he needs to do in order to devour them. It literally seems at the current moment that Jura is the leader of the Shinshu. He is the one who tells them and pushes them towards forming their own identity and pushing their path towards getting their target. He is the reason why everybody started picking their target, and is the one who coordinates all of the attacks. I don't know why we haven't seen Moegi and Bug at the current moment, but it is clear that it must come from Jura's instruction. The next one that we have seen a lot more is Hidari, and we know that Hidari comes from Sasuke, so he should have access to all of Sasuke's abilities. At the current moment, we have seen him use a lot of lightning style, a lot of fire style. He's an ambush type fighter who relies on the claw marks. This is similar to what Sasuke would do using the Rinnegan. He would zap here and there, swap places with you, and we see that Hiari has inherited that fighting style, but because he doesn't have those same eyes, he uses the claw marks in order to do so. And that's his biggest weakness. The biggest weakness that Hiari has is the lack of the same eyes as Sasuke, as Sasuke's eyes is what allows him to be able to use these various abilities. The reason why he was able to get hit by Sarada's Chidori and Sarada was able to dodge Hidari's Chidori so easily was because he didn't have the Sharingan, and that's his biggest weakness. He would have access to multiple different abilities if he only had that Sharingan. He also is able to turn his arm into a scythe, and his method of devouring people seems to be just attaching his arm to his prey and then seemingly sucking the nutrients out of his target. That's what it seems like at the current moment. The next one that we're going to talk about is Bug Shinu Clone, and the reason why we call him Bug Shinu Clone is because out of everybody out there, we really haven't been given a name of what exactly he is. So for the moment, let's just call him Bug. He is able to transform his arm using what it appears like to be Earth style, and he almost transforms his arm in a more alligator or crocodile way to snap and injure his opponents. From what we can already see, he has various strengths that I haven't seen other people have. He seems to be resistant to lightning style, or at least a lot better than Hidari, because when Sarada used Chidori's Stream, we had a Hidari who was paralyzed, and it allowed for Boruto to be able to hit his Rasengan Uzuhiko. However, when Boruto, who is stronger than Sarada, used a similar ability, we had a Bug who obviously was hit, but he was still able to react and keep up with Boruto. He was not paralyzed. That could be due to the fact that he uses Earth style, and we know that lightning style is inferior to Earth style. So that could be the reason, but at least for the moment, what we can deduce is that Bug Shinu Clone is resistant to lightning style. And that's pretty much the only thing we know about Bug. We can make hypothesis that his method of devouring is connected to his main ability that he has shown, which is transforming his arm into some alligator or crocodile format, which allows him to snap at his opponents, as we have seen him try to do on Boruto. That could be the case, but that would just be a theory, so I'm not saying that it is confirmed or not. The next person that we have to discuss is Matsuri. Matsuri comes from Moegi, and this means, as we have already started to see, Matsuri also uses Earth style, just like Moegi, and since she comes from Moegi, she should have access to various sorts of water style, which is connected to Moegi. Thus, she should also be able to use wood style too, because Moegi is able to use wood style. She has both earth and water style, which connects to create wood style too. We haven't seen her too much, and at the current moment, Bug and Matsuri are MIA. I don't know if they're staying back to protect whatever is the remnant of the Ten Tails, the God Tree, whatever they have to do, but at the current moment, they are not fighting. And due to that, we don't have a lot of information about their fighting style because we just haven't seen them fight enough. Another thing to add is that her method of devouring her target could be attached to her Earth style, just in the way that she was almost able to trap Boruto in that Earth style. That could be her method of devouring her opponent, by trapping that person in her Earth style and then sucking the nutrients of her target. That could be the method of devouring that is used for Matsuri. And that's most of the information. That's breaking down all of the information about the Shinshu and what we know so far. Now, when it comes to their goals, if you pay close attention, you would see they all align with the path of growth of humans. The first thing that happens when you are born as a baby is that you are now curious about the world around you. This causes you to touch and reach out, put things in your mouth, do all various sorts of things because you're trying to get a sense of what is the world around you. We can clearly see that that's the stage in which they're at. That's why Jura reads a ton of books to figure out what exactly is happening around him. Then they started formulating their targets, bringing up a sense of their own identity and what they want to do on their own. And these are the stages that we are already seeing the Shinshu evolve. But what comes next? What comes next in the development of the Shinshu? And if you want to find out what is that information, watch this video right here.